It's giving major "you're about to die" vibes. Heavy oak doors of the church groaned open, seemingly on their own. The air in the church was thick with the smell of damp wood and something sweet, like overripe fruit left in the sun too long. Candles flickered on their own, though no one had been around to light them. Do you think it's a portal? As if summoned by Buffy's sarcasm, the floor beneath them gave way, and a figure stepped out of the shadows. It was a tall, robed being with a face that looked like someone had drawn a smiley face on an egg and then decided it wasn't creepy enough.
Oh, ew.
To escape, you must make a sacrifice.
What if we gave you a partial one, like just a part of me that thinks it's a good idea to text my ex?
This is not how sacrifices work.
Howdy.
Hello.
I'm excited for this one.
This one's going to be fun.
It's Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost.
Wow.
You just did an emphasis, so I tried to like match it with the growl.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, because in my mind, halfway through the sentence, I was like, wait, I normally say this is Two Girls, One Ghost, but I said it's Two Girls, One Ghost. So I was like, this is weird halfway
This
through.
is
And then
new.
I just lost my mind.
It's exciting. It's new. It's different, but we're the same.
Yeah, it's new. It's different. We said we swapped the for it's. This is how to keep things fresh.
Corinne
over
is
Two Girls,
super
One Ghost.
fresh today.
So
I mean, look at
fresh.
your outfit.
Thanks. This is the outfit that I told you my mom bought
You
me.
match our office so perfectly.
Yeah. Yep. Don't I look so put together?
Like you could become a green screen.
I like that.
Like your
And
body could just
disappear
be
and a
different
floating.
things.
Oh, I
Just a
wish we
floating
were floating
head.
heads. Wait, our podcast would be so much better if we were just floating heads every week.
Jamie, do you know how to do green screen stuff? Because
I feel
maybe
like we gotta
one day
figure
we
that
just wear
out and
green.
just do that. Like a Halloween episode for just heads.
Just heads.
We have to figure it
I
out.
love that.
I'm determined.
Okay. That's Corinne. I'm Sabrina.
Hello. And this is the Cheetah Girls.
Cheetah girls, cheetah sisters.
Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sisters.
I promised that I would wear my TikTok pants, and y'all, I've worn them
Oh.
every day.
I didn't wear my Shrek outfit. I said I was going to.
You'll have to do an
Okay,
outfit
I'm
change
going to do it
later.
again. I'll keep promising until it happens.
Until it happens.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, these are my magical pants that I haven't taken off. I love them so much. They're so soft.
Yeah. You're just going to stroke your leg the whole time.
My
hard not
co-star
to.
did say to do thirst traps today, so
Did it?
I'm
How?
thirst
Let's talk about
trapping.
how weird your co-star was the other day. Because Sabrina and I have to figure something out for our Patreon holiday cards because we kind of like alternate years of who has to stuff all the envelopes and stamp everything. It was supposed to be my year this year. You had to do it again.
And we had to do double what we did last year. And so they're in my trunk right now. I'm going to drop them off at USPS. But it was so weird. My co-star, the morning of like,
You sent me a picture of you
stuffing
and stamping.
envelopes for hours. I did like I recorded some of it. I'm going to put together a video, like sped
Yeah.
up of it. I think it's like an hour of filming. And that's only like the times that I actually
God.
put my camera up.
How long did it take you? Because I feel like you were going fast because you were like, I've been doing this for 8 hours. And it took me 2 or 3 years ago, 8 hours to do it. And we had significant, well, I was
I'm
also
still
adding,
not done.
I was
Like
stuffing other things in those ones.
I'm still not done.
Oh, okay.
I think I finished like 2,000 and I have like maybe whatever's left.
We've got to figure this out.
And the
next
boxes
year.
are freaking heavy. I was like carrying them downstairs. Yeah, anyway.
Mm.
But my co-star, I opened the app because every morning I check my co-star because I'm dependent on astrology and letting it guide me.
I'd rather you be dependent on astrology than people.
Yeah, I'm dependent on people too, though.
But astrology feels like you're dependent. It's like almost a dependency on yourself. Like it's kind
That's
of like
true.
a.
That's true. But so CoStar has this feature where when you open it, like every day it has a list of do's and a list of don'ts. And there's like 3 do's, 3 don'ts.
Mm.
And the other day when I opened it, it literally said do stamps, envelopes. And I can't remember what the third one was, but I was like, how does it know?
Oh, I was like, let me reference what it was. But of course, our.
Actually, I
Cell
think I
phones.
have photos on my.
Yeah, I want to see what your.
Oh, yeah. Do stamps, envelopes, and secret notes. And also keep in mind, this is the day that I wrote for therapy, I was writing letters to my parents that like I was going to rip up. So they were secret notes that I literally didn't share with anyone.
Oh my gosh. Did it feel therapeutic?
Yeah. It made me angry too.
Yeah. My mom had me do that in middle school. She'd have me write like letters and notes, or like literally would print out pictures.
Yeah.
And cut the people out of the pictures that were hurting me and would like rip them up and burn them.
This is witchcraft. This is a great segue because we are baby witches here. We are still in our infancy, but we are baby witches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so wild thinking back to doing that and like my notes thing. It is a form of witchcraft. Like you're energetically purging yourself of harm or hurt that someone has caused you. And you're like giving it to the universe and saying,
yeah,
it's no longer mine. I do not hold on to this feeling, these resentments anymore. And good riddance.
Good riddance. I like it. It's kind of like a death of self, starting fresh moment too.
Yeah.
And also I feel like it can just be like a fun bonding thing too, because I'm thinking back to one of the first times I was at Brian's parents' house. Brian's mom has this group of close friends from college, and all of the ladies came over and they all burned. I can't remember what it was, but it was like some like letters or like something that they all had from college. They were just like, they had like a burning ritual in the backyard.
See, we're all witches.
Yeah. It just comes naturally.
It does.
To everyone.
Have you done anything intuitively witchy or to practice witchiness in the last week?
No, but I kind of got like lost in thought yesterday about requesting something of our listeners, which I'm going to right now.
Do it.
So you know how like there's animal communicators and they'll communicate with animals who are alive? Are there baby communicators? Because I need someone to tell Noah a few things kind of desperately. So
I'm sure. Yeah. Why not? Right?
Yeah. So if anyone is a baby communicator, can you let me know ASAP? Because this boy's about to start daycare and it is not going to go well. And I need him to be prepped. That was my hope of witchiness in others to help me.
Well, that's the best thing about our little community, our coven, as we shall call it. We can rely on one another and depend on one another and do a shared energetic sharing.
Yeah. Oh, I did find... Remember a while back I was telling you about how I went to the Spiritual Wellness and I met this woman and she had done like past life regressions and all this stuff, and this guy that had been abducted by UFOs and like whatever, all this stuff. I did some researching because I was like, I can't remember her name and I lost her business card, of course. And I did find her contact. So I feel like, maybe we should go.
Hell yeah.
And she's local. She's right here.
I really want to. That would be so fun.
Yeah. Have you done, I feel like you're always doing witchy stuff.
I've started cooking again.
Nice. Good.
I've been taking baths.
That's very therapeutic.
Very calming, therapeutic. Although, I don't know, like baths in theory are great. And like there's like probably in the like amount of time that I'm in it, probably like 15% of it, I'm like, wow, this is magical and so enjoyable. But then I'm like, my tits are exposed. And then I like flip around and then I like
things.
And I start to, and then I'm like,
water's moving in places you're not used to it moving into.
Then I get cold.
That's the problem. I think hot tubs. Hot tubs are where we need to be.
All about hot tubs. My co-star the other day said, do hot tubs.
You should do a hot tub. Damn it. We need a hot tub.
Today's thirst trap. The other day was hot tubs. What's tomorrow going to be?
I don't know. I'm curious. Oh my God, I almost stood up again.
You can stand up. You're allowed.
I was going to say something and then I forgot. So,
well, if you have been doing anything witchy, this community, we're all trying to like explore and develop our own intuitiveness and abilities to connect to the earth and to the universe. So share with us what you're doing and we'll share with everyone else and kind of spread the wealth of knowledge.
Oh my gosh, wait, I remembered what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
And of course, I don't have the username, but I saved it. And again, I will link it in the show notes. But all of these people are talking about the UFOs and orbs and drones or whatever in the sky. The plasma.
Apparently there were some in Marblehead.
Really?
It was front page news of the Marblehead
Damn
Weekly.
You need to start looking out your windows.
I need to just go outside.
I was looking out the windows the other night. I was like, I gotta see if they come. I want to see them.
Okay, so what were the users saying?
Okay, well, there's this one. I kind of got like lost in this one thread.
Yeah.
This one woman was saying how her 4-year-old or 5-year-old has started making really strange comments and is not really like acting themselves when they're speaking about these things. And her child has said that I think it's her daughter, that she used to live in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun is trying to tell us something. Like the orbs are basically like the sun is trying to tell us something, that something is wrong with it. But we can't send anybody up into space to try to communicate with the sun or figure it out because it's dangerous. We have to go to the sun's brother. And so everyone's like, who the fuck is the brother? And I guess in like Norse mythology, it's the moon. So now people are like, look to the moon, go to the moon again. And her daughter said some other stuff. And I'm like trying to remember what it is. But there's these like really weird things. And it's like all kind of aligning with what's happening. And she's like, I have never discussed this with my daughter.
Right.
She has no
Where is
access
this coming
to like
from?
learning about orbs and like all of these things.
Yeah.
And her daughter's referencing like all the things that are going on. And then I got so lost in the comment section because it's just comment after comment after comment about people's children making very strange proclamations that perfectly align with what's happening. It's like all of these kids that are under the age of like 7 or whatever are suddenly remembering things or being like, oh, at night I talked to the sun, or like I talked to the angels and they said this. Oh, and her daughter also said that we need to start to like figure out what's going on and to help us and the sun. We have to start connecting to our ancestors. And she was like, my daughter knows the word ancestors and to like connect to ancestors.
What?
She was like, it was really weird. She started like mumbling and like not really speaking like herself when she was saying all these things. So yeah, she's like, maybe it's just the imagination of like a 5-year-old or 4-year-old kid, or maybe it's something more, but I'm just posting it here. And yeah, the whole comment section, it's all of these people being like, oh my God, my kid has started saying really weird shit recently too. So either it's extremely entertaining or something is going on something's definitely going on.
Something's definitely going
in the
on.
universe.
But what is the sun trying to communicate to us?
I don't know, but I think it's interesting.
Jeez.
And then, of course, I got super jazzed that you got me that like Navy SEAL, like bunker survival guide or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the deeper I got into all of these like kids saying weird things, everyone's talking about how there
End
might
of
be
days.
like essentially like I forget what exactly the event was called, but like in the 1800s, remember there was like this big solar flare thing. And it was the summer that no crops basically came because everybody lived in darkness.
Very Interstellar.
Yeah. But it was like a real event where like it was like solar activity and like maybe a volcanic eruption. I'm kind of talking
So
about
you
my
need to
ass
start
here.
making a garden this spring. You have to.
Yes. And then I
With a
gotta
greenhouse.
store it in jars in the basement.
Yeah.
Everybody go buy your like
Start canning.
15-gallon rice buckets at Costco.
Mm.
Yeah, because basically everyone's like, oh my God, is this going to be a
baby
repeat?
witches and like
You're a baby witch. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Doomsday prepper.
It is what it is. At least I have the awareness of liking to get lost in these sort of things.
Mm-hmm. You do have the awareness, but
I still kind of get lost.
You still get very lost.
But I take in all of the conspiracies, which I think is good. It's not like
That's
I'm like,
fair.
I'm full on one where I'm like kind of in the delusion of it. I just am like, whoa, this is so cool. And if this is true,
then the other ones must be true.
Then I'm prepared because I've learned everything about it. I don't like to be surprised. I like preparation.
Yeah, that's why you're a doomsday prepper.
That's why I'm a Navy SEAL.
You know what I was thinking about? Speaking of witchcraft, you have done something witchy lately.
What did I do?
Tried to do reflexology to make me poop. And I would like you to try it again because this girl's backed up.
Really? Do you want me to do it right now?
Sure. You want to do it while I tell everyone what we're doing today?
Yeah, sure. This is also, I don't know if this is the proper adult reflexology. This is the infant reflexology that I use on my child.
And I'm a baby. Today I'm baby.
You are baby.
You're mother.
Okay.
Okay, so today we decided to do something really fun using our good friend Chad. And using our Patreon members. We asked everyone on Patreon to give us prompts. And this is distracting. Like, it feels so good. So, like, I'm having a hard time talking to.
My parents were here yesterday and they watched me give Noah a bath. And I always give him a foot massage. And he loves it. He, like, gives me the other foot. And he's like, ooh, ooh, like, coos at me while I do it.
I'm cooing at you right now.
I give a lot of foot massages. I give foot massages to everyone and no one gives them to me.
I'll give you one. It just won't be a poop one. So we had our Patreon donors give us prompts to feed to ChatGPT, to Chad. And we are going to create stories and read them to you.
Yes.
We can't do just one.
Well, you didn't want to poop out just one of your sides? One of your pooples?
One of your pooples? That's how it works. You guys, girls don't poop.
They shit.
They poop their pants.
They diarrhea.
I would take anything. A pebble. Okay, so yeah, we have prompts and Chad.
And all of you. So thank you, everyone. I'm like far away from the microphone the whole time. I'm almost done with my poop reflexology.
Thanks so much. See, you are a witch.
I should learn reflexology. I enjoy it.
See,
And maybe palm reading.
we both stood up at the same time.
We almost kissed.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
That's what everyone's wanting. So thank you to our Patreon members for giving us prompts. We got a lot of them. There's like 47 comments.
I know. I really liked reading them.
Yeah.
And also some of them I was like, how dare you just leave this as a comment and not just write your own book or film? Because some people had incredible ideas.
And some of them were like, I was like, you really just wrote the story.
Yeah, like it was fleshed out.
Yeah.
100%.
It's fleshy. Okay, so this is the prompt that I gave. Can you create an extremely original 5-minute ghost story that will induce nightmares that really emphasizes the horror and paranormal aspects, but has some humorous, laugh out loud, and absurd moments using the following prompt? And I also added in some Patreon member names. Buffy, Sabrina, and Corinne are on a hike in the woods. A hike they've done many times before, when all of a sudden they stumble upon an abandoned church that's surrounded by a quaint cemetery. This abandoned church is a bit of an urban legend. It shows up on a road you've traveled often. When these 3 baby witches, Buffy, Sabrina, and Corinne, decide to explore, they enter a portal to another dimension. The only way out is a sacrifice.
Ooh, okay. This sounds good.
All right.
And this also feels very like YA, like the YA that where you're like 10 years old or whatever.
Right.
And you have a book series where the books are like 100 pages or whatever. But this totally feels like one of those mystery books.
Also, I have not read it at all. I basically just had Chad
that's what we agreed on. We would not manipulate Chad.
Now.
We let him choose what he wants.
And then it's authentic live experience altogether. Not live for you, but you know what I mean. Okay. Buffy, Sabrina, and Corinne weren't just best friends. They were a trio of baby witches, as they affectionately called themselves. Sabrina carried a flask of moon water because hydration is magical. Corinne had
Thanks, Chad. Remember to stay hydrated. It will help you poop.
It will. I have been staying very hydrated. That's the thing that's pissing me off. Corinne had a satchel stuffed with crystals and snack bars. And Buffy wielded a hiking stick she swore was enchanted, but mainly used to poke at mushrooms.
Oh.
Of course, you have the snacks.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for fat shaming me, Chad.
They hiked this forest trail every week, and the familiar crunch of leaves underfoot was as comforting as the bickering over who forgot to charge the flashlight. But this time, something was off. Did that church always exist here? Buffy pointed with her stick at a looming structure nestled among the trees. It was ancient, its steeple leaning at a precarious angle as if it might topple over at any second. Surrounding it was a small cemetery filled with lopsided gravestones, their inscriptions worn smooth by time. Corinne squinted. Nope, pretty sure we would remember the haunted church aesthetic being part of our hike. It's giving major "you're about to die" vibes, Sabrina whispered, taking a cautious sip of her moon water.
I love the tone that you have in this.
It's giving major "you're about to die" vibes. But it's also kind of cute, Corinne offered.
Oh, wow.
Cute. Buffy spun on her heel. It looks like Tim Burton's fever dream. Before anyone could vote on whether cute or cursed was the better descriptor, the heavy oak doors of the church groaned open, seemingly on their own. Okay, I'm just going to say it, Buffy muttered. It's begging us to go inside.
Wow. Buffy,
begging us
she's
to
such
leave.
An enabler.
Sabrina continued.
Wow. This is actually, so if I could rewrite this, Buffy would actually be you.
Yeah, we can rewrite it.
Yeah, because I cannot believe that you in the story are like, no, and have the Tibbin-ness. Like right. you are Buffy, truly.
And you are Sabrina.
And I'm Sabrina.
Yeah. And Corinne. You're both.
And we don't really know Buffy. So Buffy, let us know who you are.
Naturally, they went inside. The air in the church was thick with the smell of damp wood and something sweet, like overripe fruit left in the sun too long. Candles flickered on their own, though no one had been around to light them. Do you think it's a portal? Corinne asked, her voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling.
Straight into conspiracy. That makes sense.
To another dimension? Sure. Or maybe to the nearest horror movie cliche, Buffy quipped, poking at a pew with her stick. I love Buffy's stick.
A pew? Like a church pew?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So everything is still inside of this thing.
As if summoned by Buffy's sarcasm, the floor beneath them gave way. One moment they were standing on creaky wooden planks, and the next they were falling down, 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 until they landed in a heap on what felt like cold stone. Ow, my sacral chakra, Corinne groaned, untangling herself from Sabrina's bag strap.
I feel it in my sacral chakra. Oh my God.
Good news, we're alive, Buffy said, brushing dirt off her jeans.
Yeah, but our chakras are misaligned.
Bad news, we're definitely not in Kansas anymore. The room they had landed in was cavernous, with walls covered in strange carvings.
Also, can I just have some appreciation for Chad for having a reference to the Wizard of Oz / Wicked?
Yeah.
Because Wicked is all the rage right now. So good job, Chad.
I'm already a big fan of these stories.
Yeah, he knows how to make a little clickbait moment for social media.
It glowed faintly, pulsating in time with an eerie, guttural chant echoing from somewhere unseen. Yep, definitely a portal, Sabrina muttered, eyeing the glowing symbols. And a figure stepped out of the shadows. It was a tall, robed being with a face that looked like someone had drawn a smiley face on an egg and then decided it wasn't creepy enough.
Oh, ew.
Welcome, travelers.
The figure intoned, its voice gravelly and oddly cheerful.
To escape, you must make a sacrifice.
The trio exchanged uneasy glances. Okay, but can it be symbolic? Buffy asked. Yeah, I have some chips in my bag, Corinne offered, rummaging through her satchel. Salt and vinegar, top tier.
That's 100% Chad understands me. That is my flavor. Salt and vinegar, number 1. Barbecue, number 2. Mesquite barbecue.
I'm a sour cream and onion, number 1. But it has to be this very specifically, very thickly coated.
Yeah, and specific brands, because not everyone gets it. Sometimes it's too artificial.
I agree. The robed figure sighed as if explaining something so obvious to toddlers.
No, not snacks.
No, Harry.
A true sacrifice, something meaningful.
Sabrina frowned. Meaningful, like my Netflix password? Because that's sacred to me. The figure groaned, the sound echoing like a dying engine.
I meant a soul.
Define soul, Buffy said, twirling her stick. What if we gave you a partial one? Just a part of me that thinks it's a good idea to text my ex.
I like this. I like Buffy.
Or my attachment to iced coffee, Corinne added solemnly.
Oh, called out.
The figure paused, its eyeless face unreadable.
This is not how sacrifices work.
This is exactly how I feel like it would play out if we were abducted or actually encountered anything like this. We'd be like, wait, but there's so many different possibilities here. So we have to go down every sort of scenario. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth banter. It's 100%. Not just yeah, sure.
I want this to be our podcast moving forward. We don't do ghost stories anymore. We just do Chad stories.
Chad.
Just as the tension reached its peak. Sorry, we broke the tension. A small, scruffy dog trotted out from behind the robed figure.
Toto?
And it had glowing red eyes and a wagging tail. Is that a hellhound? Sabrina gasped. Or a demon chihuahua? Buffy whispered. The dog let out a tiny guttural growl, then barked. A sound so absurdly high-pitched it shattered the ominous atmosphere. Buddy snorted. I can't! It's too cute! The dog yapped again, wagging its tail so hard its whole body wiggled.
I shall take him as your sacrifice,
the robed figure declared. Absolutely not, Sabrina shouted, scooping up the dog. We are not sacrificing this baby. The figure sighed, pinching its non-existent nose. I'm just picturing the egg with the smiley face.
Yeah.
Fine, you may go, but take the cursed beast with you. He's exhausting.
This is so YA. I love this.
With a blinding flash, the trio was back in the woods, the abandoned church gone. The dog, now mysteriously normal-eyed, yipped happily in Sabrina's arm. Did we just adopt a demon dog? Buffy asked, staring at the wiggling ball of fur. Yep, Sabrina said, beaming. And his name is Kevin. Corinne sighed, shaking her head.
This is like the movie Up. They named the creature Kevin.
Did they?
Yeah. The big bird.
Corinne sighed, shaking her head. We are never hiking again, are we? Nope, Buffy said, as Kevin licked her face with a tongue that briefly shimmered. The end.
Wow. Incredible. Chad, I'm impressed. That was better than I thought Chad would do.
I liked that. That was quite enjoyable.
That was really good.
And I felt very like we could act that out. Like our idea of doing What's the drunk history?
Drunk history.
Like where we act things out. I almost feel like we could have done that.
I want it to be
in
like
your backyard.
a drunk history meets the horrible reenactments that they do when like all those shows that are like My Celebrity Haunting or just even like the true crime reenactments where it's like
on
it's
Forensic
just
Files.
so bad.
And it's also kind of like cringe.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
do we need to reenact this?
And do we need to be having someone pretend that they're finding their like loved one dead. Again? Like,
no.
You can just tell that part of the story without entertainment and
So while we
it.
don't like that, I want to take the element of the bad acting.
We're doing the paranormal, fun, Buffy, Sabrina, Corinne in the woods.
Right.
Baby witches.
Where it's like, it's Twilight first movie where it's kind of like green, you know?
It does have a green filter.
Yeah.
I mean, our room is green.
That's true.
We're like
green. Okay, so the prompt was, can you create a 5-minute ghost story that will induce nightmares that really emphasizes the horror and paranormal aspects using the following prompt? In a remote Slavic village, legend speaks of a vengeful spirit named Maggie, who haunts the village rooftops at night. The spirit carries a basket filled with human eyes, offers these eerie treasures to the villagers in exchange for their souls.
Dun, dun, dun. This one might not be as funny.
But this is supposed to be serious. This is
very
scary.
serious, spooky, scary.
In the heart of a remote Slavic village, nestled deep within an ancient forest, the nights were never silent. The winds whispered old songs of mourning, and the villagers locked their doors tight, clutching talismans and muttering prayers to keep the darkness at bay. For they all knew of Maggie, the rooftop spirit, whose tale was as old as the village itself. Maggie had once been a healer, a midwife who walked amongst the people with kindness in her hands and wisdom in her heart.
Maggie went to the dark side?
She did. What did they do to Maggie? Wait, this is basically the Grinch. But kindness could not save her from the jealous whispers that painted her as a witch. When the crops failed and a plague swept the village, the townsfolk, desperate for a scapegoat, turned to her. They dragged her to the forest's edge, tied her to a birch tree, and left her to the crows. As the birds pecked away her eyes.
How dare you, crows?
She cursed them all with her final breath, vowing to return for what they had stolen. And return she did.
Fuck yeah. Maggie's the hero of this story.
This is like the OG Cinderella as well.
See, the proof is that while we love these Chad stories,
they take from what already exists.
They're not original.
Yeah. Now, when the moon hung low and the village rooftops were shrouded in shadows, Maggie would appear. Her arrival was heralded by the soft creak of tiles shifting under unseen feet and the faint tip-tap of her clawed fingers dragging across the wooden eaves. In her skeletal hands, she carried a woven basket, overflowing with eyes, plucked from the sockets of her past victims. It was said that Maggie would peer down from the rooftops, her eyeless sockets weeping blackened tears as she offered her gruesome treasures to those she watched.
But she gave eyeballs to people?
I guess. Accept one, and your soul was hers, bound to wander the rooftops with her until the end of days. So why would you ever accept? Maybe because the alternative was she plucks your eyes out and just leaves you to die.
I guess, yeah. It's like join me or die.
Okay, we have a new person coming in.
Oh.
Late one autumn night, Peter, spelled Petyr.
I mean, we are in Slovenia.
So is that like Petra or whatever? I don't know. We're calling him Peter.
It's Peter, yeah. I think Petra would be like the female version.
Okay.
It might be Peter.
Late one autumn night, Peter, a village hunter, sat alone by the dying embers of his fire. The chill of the evening crept into his bones, but it was not the cold that made his hands tremble. His son lay upstairs, feverish and near death, the village healer helpless to stop the sickness. Desperation clung to him like a shroud. When he heard the first creak of the roof, his breath caught. He'd never dared look before, but tonight, despair outweighed fear. He stepped outside, the bitter wind slicing through him, and craned his neck upward. And there, perched like a grotesque gargoyle against the moonlight, was Maggie. Her form was barely human, a gaunt, twisting shadow draped in tattered cloth. Her face, if it could still be called that, bore the hollow sockets of her missing eyes, endlessly dripping black. Yet her mouth was a gaping grin, stretched impossibly wide, filled with dragged, blood-stained teeth.
Why do I feel like this is going to turn into a love story? I want it
or
to.
like she saves the feverish dying boy.
Yeah.
She extended her bony arm, the basket dangling precariously from her fingers, and inside, dozens of eyes gleamed, reflecting the moonlight like tiny, unblinking stars.
Oh, I was picturing them like still moving around, like, looking. Yeah.
Peter, she crooned, her voice raspy. Her voice a raspy symphony of sorrow and malice. Take one, just one, and your boy will live.
You're giving sexy Maggie. Eyeless, sexy Maggie.
Ooh, Peter.
Peter, just take one.
Just take one of my treats. His knees buckled, but he didn't fall. He stared at the basket, mesmerized by the way all of the eyes seemed to shift, to blink, as if alive. His son's labored breaths echoed in his mind, mingling with the phantom cries of long-dead villagers who'd succumbed to Maggie's bargain. What happens to me? He whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. She tilted her head, the sound of cracking bones echoing through the still night.
Ooh.
You will walk with me, Peter, forever, but your boy will grow strong. His eyes will never meet my gaze.
Oh, I would take that sacrifice.
Me too. Immediately, yes. The temptation clawed at him. What was one life for another? His son's life for his own? The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating, until at last he reached up, trembling fingers hovering over the basket. Peter, no! A voice, his wife's, broke through the haze of dread. She stood in the doorway clutching her son. His fever was gone, his cheeks flushed with newfound health. The boy's wide, tear-filled eyes met his father's, pleading silently, and the spell shattered. Peter stumbled back, his hands falling to his side, and Maggie let out an ear-piercing screech, her grin twisting into a snarl. The basket tipped, spilling its contents. Eyes tumbled onto the roof and rolled into the shadows, vanishing like drops of ink into water.
Spilled everywhere?
Yes. Toppling over like a little golf ball, just rolling everywhere.
Marbles.
You will regret this, she hissed, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of wrath. And with a final, bone-chilling wail, she vanished into the night, leaving only the faint creak of tiles and the lingering scent of decay. The next morning, Peter awoke to find his roof sagging under the weight of something heavy. When he climbed up to inspect it, his heart turned to ice. Dozens of eyes had been nailed to the shingles, their glassy stares fixed towards his home. From that day on, the rooftops of the village were never silent, and Maggie's shadow was always close, waiting for the moment when Peter's courage, or his love, might fail. Wait, this is wild, because it's like, it almost seems to me that Maggie puts a spell over someone and they believe
she's like a siren.
Yes. So like maybe his son was never sick at all, but because of Maggie's arrival, suddenly he's like in this new reality, believing something completely different.
Interesting.
And that's how she gets so many people to agree to something.
See, I really want Maggie to be the hero. I want a redemption story.
Because she was the healer. I thought she was going to come in and heal. And then it's like, you know,
which we could
ask, grows 3 sizes.
We could ask for a part 2 and have be like, can you continue this story, but give Maggie redemption? Maybe do like, can you continue this in a 2-minute story where Maggie gets redemption? See, we get to manipulate the story.
Okay. I wrote, can you continue this in a 2-minute story where Maggie gets a redemption arc a la the Grinch?
Yes.
The rooftops of the village remained her domain, but something changed in Maggie. The night after Peter defied her, she returned to the woods to rage against her curse. She screamed at the trees, tore at her tattered robes, and flung her basket of eyes into the undergrowth.
She just went naked, running through the woods.
Because she's a witch.
And she's angry.
Her fury was boundless, but beneath it was something unfamiliar, a crack in her resolve. Why hadn't Peter taken her bargain? What had he seen in the boy's eyes that was worth more than his own soul? As she brooded, a faint sound drew her attention, a soft, childlike laughter. Turning, she saw a ghostly figure standing amongst the trees. A young girl, no more than 10, with pale, glowing eyes that pierced Maggie's hollow sockets.
A White Walker?
Maggie froze. Who are you? She rasped, her voice trembling for the first time in centuries. The girl smiled. I'm Dasha, one of the lives you spared long ago. Do you remember? I was the girl you healed when the fever swept through the village.
I just got chills.
Me too. Thank you, Chad.
All Maggie had to do was write secret letters and burn them. Release her anger.
Yes. Maggie's skeletal frame stiffened as memories she buried clawed their way to the surface. Dasha had been one of the many that she tried to save, even when the villagers turned against her.
Oh.
You shouldn't be here, Maggie hissed. I'm nothing but a curse now. You're more than that, Dasha said, stepping closer. You've forgotten who you were. Kindness, love, sacrifice. That's why you came back, isn't it? Not for revenge. You wanted to remember you.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Dasha.
Maggie's
See, the kids know.
The kids know. They know everything. Maggie's clawed hands fell to her sides. The rage that had fueled her for so long ebbed, replaced by a deep ache that she couldn't name. Dasha reached out, her spectral hands brushing Maggie's basket. It began to glow, the eyes inside transforming into tiny orbs of light. They floated upward, scattering into the trees like fireflies. They don't need to fear you anymore, Dasha said softly. Show them who you truly are.
This is magical.
That night, Maggie returned to the rooftops, but not as a vengeful spirit. Her gnarled form softened, her hollow sockets now filled with a faint, flickering light.
She had a glow up.
Echoes of the souls that she had freed. She no longer carried the basket. Instead, she left small gifts on the villagers' doorsteps. This is Santa Claus's
She became
origin
Santa.
story.
Yeah.
Herbs to ward off illnesses, carved wooden charms for protection, and flowers that only bloomed in moonlight. When Peter saw her shadow on his roof, he climbed to meet her. For the first time, he did not tremble. Why are you here? He asked. To give back what was taken, she said, her voice no longer a rasp, but a gentle whisper. I only wanted them to remember I was once one of them. From that night on, Maggie became the villagers' silent guardian. The winds still whispered her name, but now they carried her blessings. And though she still walked the rooftops, it was no longer to haunt, but to protect.
Snaps for Maggie.
Maggie, we had to give you a good ending.
We did. That's beautiful.
I know.
Oh, this is fun. I could do this all day.
I know. This is really great. This is going to make bedtime stories so much more fun.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like your kid's like, can you tell me a story about a princess and a cat but they go to Mars with suitcases? And you're like, yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Easy. And it will be curated in 2 seconds.
Yep.
Okay, so this one, I combined a bunch of different aspects from different prompts that people had given us on Patreon.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is the prompt I gave chat. Create a short 5-minute ghost story or scary tale based on a mix of random, silly, and creative prompts that will be provided. Each story should blend these unexpected elements into something funny, quirky, surprising, and sometimes a little scary. The tone should be lighthearted and entertaining with enough suspense and twists to keep it engaging and memorable. Here are the prompts. 1. A stray cat named Hillary, who can see the ghosts of a serial killer's victims. 2 girls, Reagan and Maria, visit a remote area of the Mexico countryside and stay at the Nightfall hotel that is known to be haunted, but is more sinister than they thought. Reagan grew up hearing the story of how her mother one day seemed to lose her mind, that in a fit of madness she ran from her home and out into the desert. But Reagan knows. She saw her. She saw them. They dragged her into the dark. For years, she had tried to convince herself that this wasn't true, that she had not seen anything, that they hadn't seen her, that they weren't still watching her. But as stranger and stranger things begin to happen, her mother's spirit haunts her, begging to be saved, and she can't deny the truth any longer. The dark beckons her to enter. And then the last part, the ghost of a pompous celebrity named Alicia, who hates having to mingle with the normal people. So we have no idea how this is going to go.
Yeah, that is such a mixed bag.
Chad called it the shadows of Nightfall. Reagan and Maria, college friends with a penchant for the paranormal, had heard rumors about the Nightfall Hotel. Nestled deep in the Mexican countryside, it was said to be the most haunted place in the region. But that was part of the fun. Reagan needed a break from the dark memories of her mother's disappearance, and Maria thought it would make great social media content.
Nice.
The moment they arrived, the hotel loomed over them like a stone sentinel. Its cracked windows and sagging balconies whispered of forgotten tragedies. Yet the staff was oddly cheerful, especially a stray cat that darted around the lobby. The bellboy mentioned that the cat's name was Hillary, and casually added, she's been here for years and she knows all of the hotel's secrets. That night, as Maria set up her tripod to record their ghost hunt, Reagan wandered around to the balcony. The cool air carried the faint scent of burning sage. Below, Hillary, the cat, prowled the courtyard, her green eyes glowing like lanterns in the moonlight. And then Reagan saw them. Shadows, flickering like smoke, began to form in the courtyard. They weren't human. They were misshapen, twisted with gaping mouths and clawed hands. They surrounded Hillary, but the cat remained calm, staring them down with an eerie confidence. Reagan stumbled backward, and her breath caught in her throat. Reagan, Maria called from the other room. You have got to see this. Inside, Maria had her camera pointed at the corner of the room, and there stood the translucent figure of a woman, dripping with diamonds and oozing with disdain. Ugh, the spirit sneered. Another night with peasants.
Oh my God, what a bitch.
Reagan blinked. What is happening? I'm Alicia, the ghost groaned, flicking her hair over her shoulder. Actress, model, muse. I died at this miserable hotel, and now I'm stuck with the likes of you.
Wow.
Before Reagan could process the absurdity, Alicia froze, her glamour fading into terror. Oh no, not them. They're coming.
Oh my God.
The shadows oozed through the walls, crawling like tar. One grabbed Alicia, pulling her toward the dark. She screamed, a piercing cry that sent shivers through Reagan's spine. Help me, peasants!
Alicia, there's a reason you're trapped here forever.
I am pretty sure our Patreon donor named Alicia gave us this prompt, so I named the ghost after her.
Sorry, Alicia.
Hey, Alicia, you gave this to us. Hillary the cat appeared in the doorway, her fur bristling. She hissed at the shadows, swiping with claws that seemed to glow. The creatures recoiled, retreating into the cracks of the floor. Alicia slumped onto the bed, visibly shaken. I never thought I'd say this, but thank you, feline. Hillary ignored her, jumping into Reagan's lap. Her purring was a strange comfort as Reagan's mind raced. Outside the window, Reagan's mother's ghost appeared. Pale, frail, and desperate. She pointed toward the desert beyond the hotel where the shadows writhed like a living storm. They're waiting for you, her voice whispered.
That's so scary.
Reagan clutched the cat tighter. For years, she had pretended it wasn't real, that her mother had simply lost her mind and ran away. But the truth clawed at her now. The shadows had taken her. And now they wanted Reagan. Maria, finally shaken from her influencer ambitions, whispered, What do we do? Reagan's voice was steady. Alicia groaned. Oh, lovely, a desert expedition with 2 amateurs and a glorified house pet. Hillary meowed indignantly, her green eyes narrowing. She seemed ready to lead the way. And so armed, with a sarcastic ghost, a cat who could see the dead, and a camera rolling just in case, Reagan and Maria stepped into the night, following a trail of whispers and shadows toward whatever awaited them in the dark. The desert stretched endlessly, its silence broken only by the crunch of sand beneath their feet. Moonlight painted the landscape silver, but ahead, the shadows churned like a living void. Hillary led the way, her tail flicking with purpose, while Alicia trailed behind, floating in a state of perpetual annoyance. Well, Alicia, you didn't have to come.
Yeah, Alicia, get with it.
This is ridiculous, Alicia muttered. I could be haunting a villa in Malibu, but no, I'm stuck chasing shadows in this wasteland with 2 mortals in a flea bag.
This is like just such a personal reference, but when I was 12, I was in a middle school play that one of my teachers had written. Like, she wrote her own play and we all acted it out. And I was cast as Honey Hotchkiss, which was exactly Alicia in this story. And it was like set in a hotel.
So you have the acting chops to be Alicia.
I guess. Yeah. I loved being Honey Hotchkiss until everyone started calling me Honey Crotchkiss.
It's pretty, I get it.
I don't know why my teacher just like, you're making a play for middle schoolers.
Yeah. Well, she was making a play for herself. And then she was like, I have an idea. I'll make my middle schoolers
I have a cast.
do it. Yeah.
Free acting.
Live table read. Reagan ignored Alicia again, her eyes fixed on her mother's ghost. The apparition hovered just ahead, her face flickering between desperation and fear. Maria clutched the camera like a talisman, whispering, This is totally going viral if we survive. As they approached the swirling mass of darkness, the air grew colder. A low, guttural hum vibrated through the sand. Hillary stopped abruptly, her fur standing on end. She hissed at the shadows, but this time they didn't retreat. Instead, the void parted, revealing a stone altar carved with jagged symbols. Is this Lion Witch in the Wardrobe?
Yeah.
On the altar lay a rusted locket, Reagan's mother's locket. Reagan's breath caught. That's hers. Before anyone could stop her, she stepped forward. The shadows coalesced, forming towering figures with hollow eyes and gaping mouths. They didn't move, but they seemed to watch, waiting. A voice echoed, low and cold. You have come. Good. Reagan swallowed hard. What do you want? Why did you take my mother? One of the figures tilted its head. She was chosen, a vessel, but she was weak. You are not.
What the hell?
The shadows surged closer, their forms unraveling like smoke, tendrils reaching for Reagan. Hillary leapt forward, her claws glowing faintly as she swiped at the darkness. The shadows recoiled with a hiss, but their laughter echoed in the air. You cannot stop what has already begun! Suddenly, Reagan's mother's ghost appeared, her form flickering more brightly. Reagan, you have to destroy the locket. It's Harry Potter.
It is. And it's also kind of Haunted Mansion.
It is. Reagan hesitated. The locket had been her mother's most prized possession, a keepsake of their family. But no, her mother screamed. Maria shoved Reagan out of her stupor. Do it, Reagan! Reagan grabbed the locket, but the moment her fingers touched it, searing pain shot up her arm. Images flashed in her mind, her mother running through the desert, the shadows dragging her into the dark, and a sinister figure whispering, she is not enough. Bring the child. Reagan screamed and threw the locket to the ground. Hillary, do your thing! The cat, as if understanding, leapt onto the altar, and with an ear-splitting yowl, she swiped the locket, her claws glowing with an otherworldly light. The locket shattered, releasing a burst of energy that sent the shadows writhing and retreating into the desert. The air crumbled, and the air stilled. Reagan's mother's ghost smiled, her form becoming more solid. You did it. You broke their hold. Reagan fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. I thought I lost you forever. Her mother knelt beside her, placing a cold, ghostly hand on her cheek. I'll always be with you, but you need to go. The desert doesn't let go easily. As her mother's spirit began to fade, Alicia floated closer, looking uncharacteristically shaken. Well, that was unpleasant. Do you have any idea what shadows do to a complexion? That's actually a funny line.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it makes it snatched.
Right. Yeah, that's called contour, and it's actually great.
Have you heard of it, Alicia? Maria finally exhaled. So, we survived? Hillary meowed, licking her paw as if to say, of course we did. The four of them, 2 humans, a snobby ghost, and a heroic stray cat, began the trek back to the Nightfall Hotel, the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon. As they walked, Reagan glanced back. The desert was now empty, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows weren't entirely gone, and somewhere, far beneath the sand, something laughed. Would you like to continue, or have an epilogue? This could lead to new hauntings, a curse, or even a connection to the hotel itself. That's what Chad said.
Chad is clearly liking the story, because Chad's like, should we continue?
Let's do more.
I like the dynamic of like the cat.
Mhm.
Like it feels YA again.
Yeah.
It's like,
It does.
I feel like the one that I read was a little bit more like Grimm's Brothers fairy tale, like a little more traditional. And the two that you have are very YA, which I love.
Well, you get to create a new one.
Okay, I wrote, can you create an extremely original 5-minute ghost story that will induce nightmares and really emphasize the horror and paranormal aspects of the following? It should be dark, sinister, and have a big twist. Think Haunting of Hill House, Get Out, or Talk to Me. Please include the following names in the story and use the following prompts and themes. Names, Camila, Christine, and Kate, who gave the prompt and theme ideas. And then the prompts were Black-Eyed Kids, The Witching Hour, and ghosts who have a podcast where they interview each other about humans in their lives.
I love this. Okay.
It was the kind of cold night that wrapped around your bones and wouldn't let go. Camila shivered as she tightened her scarf and glanced at her phone. 3:03 a.m. The witching hour. Christine had dared her to walk home alone after their late night ghost tour.
That's just so mean.
I know. It's just for fun, Christine had teased.
Christine.
Portsmouth isn't that haunted. Ooh, are we in Portsmouth, New Hampshire?
It is pretty haunted.
Are we in the UK? Where are we?
Where are we?
But now, alone under the dim glow of flickering streetlights, Camila regretted her bravado. Somewhere behind her, boots scraped the cobblestones. She whipped her head around, but nothing. Just the fog rolling in off the harbor, swallowing sound and sight alike.
Ooh.
The eerie silence shattered with a voice, childlike, yet off. Excuse me,
Red
miss.
flag.
2 kids stood under a lamppost that flickered like a dying firefly.
May we borrow your telegraph, please?
They couldn't have been older than 10. The girl, with tangled hair and hollow cheeks, held her brother's hand. He clutched a scratched plastic recorder, the kind that you would find in a kindergarten classroom. We're lost, said the girl. Her voice sounded like nails dragged over velvet. Can you help us? Camila's heart thudded. Something wasn't right. She couldn't see their eyes. Their heads were tilted just enough that the shadows cloaked their faces. She took a cautious step back. Where are your parents? The boy raised his face. His eyes were flat. Endless, black, empty voids. Just let us in, he hissed.
Into what? You're outside.
A chill raced down Camila's spine. Let us in? She didn't live here. She wasn't going home. The words just didn't make sense. Unless, were they asking for her consent to something? No, Camila said, her voice trembling, and she turned and bolted, her footsteps echoing in the deserted streets. Christine was waiting for her in their Airbnb, a cozy colonial house tucked between historic shops. Took you long enough, she joked, sipping her wine. Thought the ghosts got you. I think they almost did, Camila stammered, locking the door behind her. She relayed the encounter with the black-eyed kids, but Christine waved it off. Ugh, local legends, she said. They're just trying to spook tourists.
Christine.
Yeah, a bunch of kids out in the middle of the night being like, I'm going to get the tourists.
I'm mad at Christine, even though I know it's not the real Christine from Patreon.
Yeah. But Camila couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Even when Christine fell asleep, Camila stayed awake, the encounter replaying in her mind. At 3:33 a.m., the lights flickered, and the air turned icy. The sounds of static crackled from the corner of the room. Camila turned to see Christine's laptop glowing faintly, though it had been shut off an hour ago. The static grew louder, morphing into garbled voices.
It's very poltergeist.
Yeah. Welcome back to Spectral Frequencies.
Stop!
The only podcast for ghosts by ghosts. Camila froze.
I forgot about that part of it.
She couldn't breathe, couldn't move as the spectral broadcast played. We've got a special guest tonight, the host said, his voice a mix of radio static and deep growls. Say hello, Kate. A new voice joined, one dripping with malice. Hello, everyone. I'm Kate, and I've been watching the most interesting human. Christine stirred in her sleep, her face twisting into a grimace, and the voice continued. She's curious, fearless, too fearless. I like her. Camila's blood ran cold. Kate wasn't talking about Christine, right? I've been waiting for her to notice me, Kate purred.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'll invite her to stay with us forever. The hosts chuckled. What about the other one? Oh, Kate said, her voice sharpening. Christine? She's already mine.
Shut up.
At that, Christine sat upright, her eyes wide, her mouth opening in a silent scream. Her hands clawed at her throat as if something unseen was choking her, and Camila screamed, rushing to her friend's side, but the fingers passed through Christine's body like smoke. Christine's head turned slowly towards Camila, her lips curling into a grin that wasn't her own. You should have let them in, she whispered in Kate's voice. The room plunged into darkness. Camila woke up on the cobblestones. Her breath fogged in the air. The world was silent, empty. The town seemed frozen in time. And her phone read 3:03 a.m. She stumbled towards the Airbnb, but it was gone, replaced by decaying ruin. A sign hung crooked on the doorway, the Midnight Broadcast Studio. The faint sound of voices floated on the wind. The podcast was still playing, and from the corner of her eye, she saw two children, their black eyes glinting as they smiled. Let us in, they whispered. And this time, Camila couldn't run.
That's it?
That's it.
The Spectral broadcast is my favorite thing that's ever happened.
I know. Like, welcome back.
And the way that that's used to haunt people
Yeah.
is genius.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I love this story so much.
Also, what a good idea to have a podcast of ghosts talking about people.
Right.
Brilliant idea.
We're stealing it. Who came up
Chad
with
already
it?
did.
Well, Chad didn't create it. Which listener gave that prompt?
That was from Kate.
Kate.
It's funny because Kate is
became
who
the
they
host.
used.
Yeah.
For the ghost.
I
So,
love this so much. This was such a fun idea for an episode. Now
Yeah.
I truly just want to make our entire podcast this.
Yeah. Also, Izzy had responded to Kate's prompt on Patreon and wrote, okay, wait, I need an April Fool's episode to be a whole hour of this about ghosts.
Oh, like
Talking
you and
about
I
humans.
being ghosts talking
Yeah.
about humans.
It's a good idea. Let's clock it.
Yeah. We'll remember that.
Yeah.
If you remember our last April Fool's episode,
That doesn't exist. It never happened.
it never happened.
That was just our
we,
other
We
podcast.
promised we would never talk about it. But
But that would be
dressing it
fun to
without it.
actually dress up as ghosts or like
We'll be the floating. That's
traditional-
the floating heads episode.
Oh my God.
Well, thank you everyone on Patreon for giving us the prompts for this episode.
Yeah.
It was
There were so many
much
more
fun.
too that were
I know.
so good.
We
Ah.
could do plenty more episodes like
I
this.
know. And it just is proof of how creative everyone is. And this makes me want people to
write stories.
write stories.
Well, we put them away, but we have, when I went to the P.O. box last, I opened all of these packages and there were 4 books sent to us. And I was like, oh, how nice. But no, they are the authors themselves.
Yes.
Who are our listeners who have written books about the paranormal or whatever it may be. They're not all paranormal. You guys are all so talented. It's
I know.
incredible.
Yeah. I love that.
So keep sending us your books. We will read them and send us your ghost stories. And if you let us know if you liked this format of an episode, because we'll do it again if you like it.
We like to try different things every once in a while.
Yeah. See, we're new.
We are keeping things fresh.
We're keeping things fresh.
Because it's Two Girls, One Ghost.
How do we change the end? You'll have to just do something different, but the same.
Okay.
Hold on to your chair.
Now I feel really pressured.
Keep yourself grounded.
Keep yourself grounded. But first, shout out to Jamie for editing this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jamie. And y'all will see us on the other side.
I don't like that one as much.
Should I ask Chad?
Yeah, this is literally like, I was having this conversation the other day about how in like 20 years, we're all going to have like chips in our brain that are basically ChatGPT, but then like we're not going to need as much conversation with other people because we're all going to have the like access to information, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like I like to talk to people who have different knowledge that they can share with me. But if we all have access to knowledge endlessly, we're going to be awful.
I know. It also makes me, the one thing that I do want technology to be able to do is, you know, like the glass. I think there's a Black Mirror episode of this where it's like everybody's memories, they can pull back and replay what someone's seeing. I would love for my eyes to always be recording things. And then you get to like choose, like maybe if it's like it records every 24 hours and then it erases and you get to choose for those 24 hours, like what you keep for memories. I like that.
You could just set up cameras in your house or hire a whole camera crew to follow you around all the time.
Okay. I asked Chad to give us podcast sign-offs similar to See You on the Other Side for a paranormal podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you a couple options.
Okay.
And we'll say it.
Okay.
Keep your candles lit and your doors locked. May your nights be quiet and your ghosts be friendly.
Oh.
And remember, the veil is always thinner than you think.
I like that one.
Okay. And remember, the veil is always thinner than you think.
Very smooth.